Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Oh, welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by Chinook Eatery. This is episode 538. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-hosts, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Okay, see, how are we?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm still reeling from, in a good way, from our scorekeeping adventure Sunday night. I've still been thinking about how much I enjoyed that over the last few days. That was good. That was a good time. And even in the last couple games that I've watched in the night since then, I've been sort of just playing it out in my head. Like, okay, what would I score? Like, what am I scoring here? What am I jotting down on my scorecard? And I feel as if I need to get my muscle memory down and maybe score another game in the coming days. Maybe this weekend to sort of get that.
I agree. Not that Meredith struggles to watch with you at all, right? Because she's a Nats fan. She's always been ish. But
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. If you're watching on YouTube,
you guys have been together a long time. So like she's been around baseball a long time.
Yeah, she loves sitting down and watching a game.
Have you told her about, like, have you brought it up to her about maybe teaching her?
I haven't. I feel like I should. I did express how much I enjoyed it, and I was like a proud toddler after the game on Sunday night when I took we finished up down here and I took the scorecard up and I was like,
look,
I stayed in there like I wanted her to put it on the fridge or something. I'm like, look, my first score, kept score for my first game. She's like, good job. No, I'm just kidding. She was happy, but yeah, that's a skill that I may need to pass along to her. It was good. And I again appreciate you for teaching me and the many others that were in the chat.
I feel bad, honestly. I feel like I missed stuff, and there's also weird things that didn't happen. The fact that we didn't have a single double play in that game was wild.
That was a little
for those
alarming.
that have no idea what we're talking about and didn't get to check the live stream Sunday night. We're going to do something. I guess we've mentioned this a bunch of times, but if you live under a rock and maybe this is your first episode, welcome. Hi.
I'm Kyle. This is Nate.
We're going to do something like once a month-ish where we're going to watch Sunday Night Baseball. We're going to stream it and we're going to keep book. And I'm not going to proclaim that I'm some kind of expert or anything. I just know how to do it. And Kyle didn't. And now he does. And if you want to learn, we're going to do that. We're going to try to pick like a good matchup once a month that hopefully kind of lines up with our schedules. And yeah, we're going to hang out on Sundays, and eat some dinner, eat some seeds, keep book. Which, by the way, is the baseball phrase for keeping score. Which I don't know who was in the comments upset with calling it keeping book.
Who calls it keeping book? I'm like, pretty much everybody that's ever been around a baseball field that I've talked to about it.
Anybody. Yeah. I learned in high school, and that was like that. I've never heard. It sounds weird to me if you say I'm going to keep score.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, I don't enjoy saying it.
How neat is it, by the way, that like, what other sports can you do that for? None.
True.
Nothing.
I mean, you keep stats, but like in a manual, like traditional way. Very,
sick,
very true.
Huh? That's our thing.
Super sick.
Anywho's,
speaking of sick, you know what makes me want to throw up?
I could have taken a shot, but I won't.
All right. Go ahead, take your shot.
Medium rare steak?
All right. Okay, buddy. All right. No, actually, I would enjoy medium rare steak. What makes me want to throw up is the fact that the Pirates have made it clear that they're not wanting to trade Paul Skenes. And I tell you what, it makes me want to throw up. What's the shoulder shrug for? Don't even try to convince me that this is like a smart business endeavor. For the very short term, sure, but like very short term.
I think this is a year by year basis. I think this is I don't think it's something that like they can just have a sweeping declaration on and saying like we're not trading him at all. I'm in the camp that no one can afford him. And when I mean no one, I mean no one. No one can afford Paul Skenes. No one can afford Paul Skenes right now with 4+ years of control left. Actually, it's probably like 5 years of control left. No one can afford him. And the ridiculous... I was watching something that Bleacher Report posted where it was like the mock trades. Like, let's come up with like mock trades from some teams that may be in contention. And every team was just their top 3 prospects, and that's it. That's not enough. That's enough for Paul Skenes in 2 or 3 years, where he only has a year left. When you have 4+ around 5 years of control, Paul Skenes, you can't afford him because it's not just your top 3 minimum. I would say probably another couple prospects and a couple big league right now guys, current big league right now guys. So what's the point? I'm also in the camp that what are you trading for? Are you trading for another Paul Skenes? What are you hoping for in that trade? You're not ready to win now. There's no point in moving him right now.
That's exactly the point. That's the exact reason they should move him. Bob Nutting, buddy, open your eyes. You are doing a disservice to the game of not just the city of
only
Pittsburgh.
going to grow. I think it's silly.
You are doing a disservice to the game of baseball. You're not helping Paul Skenes. Your own team can't help Paul Skenes. What was it last outing? 8 innings of 1-run ball. Lose the game. And you think, that's just one example. Look at the way the entire season has gone. It's only going to get worse. This isn't going to get better. And I think Bob Nutting and whoever else is in charge of discussing the decision around Paul Skenes, whether or not to move on from him or not, and maybe get some value back, or get a haul of value in return. They're naive to think that anything is going to change. For the last how many years have we been saying this about the Pittsburgh Pirates? Like, man, they've got the ingredients for the recipe to make it work, to really light the fire in that city, for that sport, for that team, and we can see a resurgence of Pittsburgh Pirates baseball. How many years have we been saying that? And nothing's changed. So why not just, like, selfishly, I understand, but I'm sitting here going, let him go play for somebody else that's going to make the team better, the team that can support him, and also just be more of a reward for the rest of baseball to enjoy, instead of watching him sit here. Look at his body language in the dugout on start days and after starts. He already knows, even at his age, his very young age, with his limited experience at this level, he knows this is not where he needs to be right now, and he hates it.
Okay. Number one, I think his body language is just that way when he pitches. I think he's a very intense guy. He's very unemotional in general. And
let me clarify, more after the fact, like after these starts,
Yeah.
when he gives you what he gives you and then looks up at the scoreboard and goes, well, that's another loss on my record. Not that the losses matter to him, I'm sure, but
I don't disagree in the fact that like he's a very obvious competitor. He very obviously wants to win, and he seems like that guy. And to go from top of the world at LSU in a national championship to, you know, one of the worst organizations in baseball for the last 3-4 decades. Like, I understand what you're saying, but in my mind, I think this scenario is let some of your youth continue to develop. Let O'Neal Cruz continue to settle in and be the guy he is. Let Jared Jones come back, and we'll get into him later. Let Bubba Chandler come up and be his guy, and like let all of this start to develop a little bit more, because selling him right now, I don't think does anything. It doesn't change anything. So why not just like enjoy the revenue that you're getting from this name, enjoy the eyeballs that you're getting from this name, and in hopes of over the next 2 or 3 years, maybe some of these other guys in your organization start to become things. And maybe you can start to fill in gaps. I mean, I'm not holding out hope, but what I'm saying is like, I think there's a right time to press the button, and I just don't think right now is the right time. And I'm also going to double up this question with saying, should the Pirates trade Paul Skenes? It's, should any other team trade for Paul Skenes? And I think of what they would have to give up right now, no. I think no. I think it'd be a ridiculous overpay.
I think we're giving the Pirates too much credit when talking about the future and saying, well, hold on to him, milk the value that you can, because in that scenario, we're assigning a level of competence inherently to the front office and how they would handle Paul Skenes, his future, and the pieces around him. We know very well when it comes to the Pittsburgh Pirates that I've said this countless times, that they are a feeder system to the rest of Major League Baseball. So really the names that you mentioned, in my mind, don't matter when it comes to Paul Skenes' future, because there's a good chance they're not going to be there, whether it's because they've reached free agency or the Pirates realize, oh, maybe we just trade this guy, capitalize on the value a little bit. So by the time Paul Skenes is ready to really capitalize, I mean, he's already made such a great impact for this team, even just in his second year.
Sure.
But by the time he reaches free agency, where he's presumably fully hitting his stride, we're going to be talking about a completely different batch of names. So it's if that's the way you're going to handle one of baseball's biggest stars, then just do the rest of the league a service, a solid, and just let him go elsewhere where he can help grow the game further.
Would I love to see him compete for a relevant team? Of course. I would love that. But I think the realistic side of it is just like, none of it matters. I thought we weren't going to talk about them anymore. They need to wipe everything clean and learn how to develop and learn how to scout and learn how to coach at all levels. They need to do all those things. But they need to be able to fill in these gaps somehow, some way. And it doesn't just have to be you can't just stamp everything of like, go spend more money on free agents. Go spend more money on free agents. Like, there's teams that don't do that, and that's okay. There's plenty of teams that find success other ways. It's the lack of searching for that success. It's the lack of changing what they've been doing that really bugs me the most. So who knows, man? If we fast forward in 2 years and you're telling me that he's their number one, this Bubba Chandler kid is the truth, and he's their number two, and Jared Jones is back fully healthy from his surgery, and he's their number three, and you get a young manager in that like starts to create a little bit of a different culture, and you have O'Neal Cruz who continues to do O'Neal Cruz things, there could be this aura that gets created, and there could be this like somehow whatever's happening on the field is forcing this organization to change the way they're doing things. And I have hope in that more than I have hope in the front office and the organization changing on their own, if that makes sense.
I mean, I hear you, and to a point I agree with you, but in this scenario that you've laid out, they're still presumably still going to be at the helm when that situation unfolds. When you're talking about a three-headed monster, potentially four, who knows,
unless they
in your
sell,
rotation.
Unless they sell, you know.
Okay, well, that's a completely different story, but I just don't foresee that happening. So to me, it's like, if they're still the ones making the decisions, they're still the ones that are going to have to surround that rotation with pieces in addition to O'Neal Cruz to make it a respectable team, a team that's capable of making a run at a wild card spot.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't foresee it happening.
In a perfect world, I'd love for MLB to step in. I'd love for other owners to step in and say, "Hey, it's been how long? 10 straight years of a sub 500 record or whatever it is, like something unbelievably uncompetitive." Like I would love for our league to step in and say, you got to go and force the sell, because like I think we've seen that in the past, like in its weird sticky situations. What was the Dodgers thing 10, 15 years ago? There was like a divorce, and like MLB's like, no, you got to sell. You got to get rid of this. So like, I think there's ways around it. And I'd like to say that there should be some type of competitive stipulation, but there isn't really like any, what's the word? There's no,
Accountability.
no, what's the, like, when lawyers have like precedent, like there's like precedent set. Like if there's something in the past where like a team was forced or an owner was forced to sell based on a lack of competitiveness, if that precedent was already set, that'd be great. But like someone's got to be the first. Why not the Pirates, man? Why not the MLB just stepping in and saying, we got to change this now? You're going to be the first one.
I like that. And you could go so many different ways with that. Like if I mean, as simple as like your winning percentage over a certain period of time has to be this, or there's going to be ramifications, or you could, I mean, I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes. You could go so many different ways with that, but I mean, but
again, and we'll wrap it up because we've had way too much Pirates talk already this year. Stop it. I said this last time, I'll say it again. I think when MLB expands, then we get 2 extra teams and it grows to 32, and maybe teams move, maybe teams pop out of new cities. I think the restructure of divisions could really, really affect things. And like I said, if the Pirates all of a sudden have the Red Sox, the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies in their division, and now all of those fans are filling up that stadium, that changes the value of that organization. And I do think that there's a peak time to sell. There's a peak time to sell this organization. There's a peak time to sell Paul Skenes. And I don't think the peak is quite there yet. So what happens over the next few years as MLB, and look, whether you like it or not, I think it's coming. I think the MLB is up for a huge shift. And I think NL and AL are going to look different than we've ever imagined. And you're going to see teams that have spent 100 years in a league that doesn't mean anything anymore. I think that's the way it's going. And it's going to shift some stuff.
Last thing I'll say on the Paul Skenes matter, I've never been a proponent of Major League Baseball, or the players rather, adopting the philosophy that you see play out, or the practice really, that you see play out in football and basketball with these sit outs related to contracts, related to playing time, related to this or that. But if there was a guy where, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I saw it suggested on something I was reading about it earlier today, where it was like, maybe Paul Skenes, like if the Pirates have made it clear that they're not going to trade him, maybe Paul, like if he's serious about it, if he really doesn't want to be there, and we mentioned it earlier, I could see his feelings on this heightening tenfold, 100-fold after this World Baseball Classic, when he gets a true taste of what it looks like to pitch in competitive baseball games for a competitive team. If the Pirates have made it clear that they're not interested in trading him and he's really serious about getting out of there, maybe he becomes a guy that sits out and says, you know what, that's fine.
I hear you. I think it sounds great on paper.
I know. I'm not saying that would happen, and I'm not an advocate of players sitting out, but in this particular situation with this particular team, even I feel I could feel a certain way about it. I could be very easily convinced.
I think he's too much of a winner.
Well, you could make the argument that if he is that much of a winner, maybe he would do what he needs to do. He'd play a little hardball to get to a winning team, so that he's not going out throwing 8 innings of 1-run ball and still getting handed the loss.
I don't think there's anything you can do. Not during this period. Not during arbitration.
I don't know. A guy that would probably be open to a trade for a bucket of balls, Luis Robert. He actually came out yesterday, and asked about, potential trade, because his name's been floated around on the trade market, really the last year or two. And Scott Merkin of MLB.com asked him about it. And he said, right now, as my season is going, I don't think anyone is going to take a chance on me. And I got to say, he kind of nailed it on the head there, because the guy stinks right now. Truthfully, don't really know why I have him stashed on my fantasy team. I don't know what I'm waiting for. Guy's been kind of cheeks for the last calendar year, if we're being honest. And that's truthfully, call me ignorant. I don't really understand why this is a name that's been so heavily coveted on the trade market, or maybe not coveted, but presented as such a valuable piece. Like, yeah, I've seen what he can do, but there's something not right, whether it be mechanically, mentally, maybe just the fact that he's playing for the White Sox. Maybe that has something to do with it. I haven't seen it. It doesn't make sense to me why Luis Robert is a name that's being floated so often and so strongly, given the way his last year plus has gone.
Potential, I guess. I don't know. The White Sox botched another situation, but it doesn't help that he's sucked. It's been bad.
There was a brief window last year where you could have moved from him, or moved him, I should say. But to your point, guy's been
they're in a bad position because he's been unhealthy, and he's also not performing when he is healthy. And $20 million a year is not something that just like easily gets picked up when that's a part of the mix. So any team that's calling is probably telling the White Sox, like, hey, like, you're going to need to eat this. You're going to need to eat some of this. I'll need you to eat $8 million a year or whatever. I think the fact that the contract has back-to-back, which I haven't, we need to figure this out eventually because this topic seems to come up like once a year. If that club option gets traded with him,
where are you getting $20 million from? I'm seeing a 6-year $50 million contract.
Yeah, it's all backloaded. This year he's making 15. Next year he's making 20. 2027 he's also making 20. It was all backloaded.
Are you looking at the luxury tax? Or are you looking at what he's making?
Payroll annual, spottrack.com.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. Yeah, backload. I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
2021 he made 3.5, then 6, then 9.5, then 12.5. This year it's 15. Next year it's 20. 2027 is also 20. And then he's set to be a free agent at the year 2028 when he's 30 years old.
I got you. That was on me. I was looking at the wrong spot.
So I think they missed their window. I think they need to figure something out, but like you're going to have to eat some money. And you're not going to get the prospects that you want because you missed the mark here.
Missed the window.
On this too long.
Yeah.
So there's no like good way to go about this. I don't think there's a winner in any of this. It's every team is probably looking at him as like a buy low, and for $20 million, that's not really buying low. So it's like it's the worst possible situation, and he's playing like crap. So it's like, yeah, you're stuck.
But to your point, though, they missed the mark. They missed the window. And not to rehash the whole Paul Skenes thing, and it's a completely different situation in terms of on-field talent and value and
finances,
marketability.
So it's very different. It's all
no. It's very different. But I'm saying, in terms of front office management, does it surprise us that the White Sox have mismanaged Luis Robert? No, it shouldn't. Will it surprise us when the Pirates inevitably mismanage the Paul Skenes situation? No, it shouldn't, and it won't. So that's sort of what I was getting at with the Paul Skenes thing. But to your point with the Luis Robert thing, that's not an easy contract to move with how poorly he's been playing. And I'll be honest with you, my first thought when I read his comments are, I guarantee you the White Sox were not happy with the fact that he's just like self-owning his
suck
awfulness, is self-owning his suck, because they're going, we need every ounce of positive PR around your situation, like your potential trade package as we can, and you're going out there yourself being like, no guys, other teams around the league, don't bother. I'm not worth it right now. Don't come knocking because I'm not going to help you.
There's a little reverse psychology. Maybe a lot of calls will come in because of this.
That's a very valid point. They said, you know what, but nothing's working. Just go out there, say you suck, and maybe we can just eat some of this contract and clean our hands of it and be on our merry way.
Yeah. They're gonna have to figure something out. It's gonna have to be something weird where he's packaged with someone, or there's a lot of money that's being eaten. And then at the same time, you're like, what? I don't know. Why not just wait? I wonder what the White Sox would be on the hook for if they just, I mean, nothing, right? $2 million if they don't pick it up. So instead of paying him 20 next year, you're going to pay 2. Or is that to buy it out? So maybe that's probably a good thing to negotiate with. Say, hey, you're going to get these club options. It's only a $2 million buyout. If he sucks the rest of the season, don't pick it up. You're only going to pay for half of this year anyway. So a $10 million,
as it is, yeah,
a $10 million rental with potential that a superstar is in there somewhere, was in there somewhere. I don't know if it's still there. He's only 28. And there's not a whole lot of like risk to it.
Yeah, he's only played over 100 games once. I mean, I know he's still relatively young, but he's only played the 1 year he did play over 100 games, 145 in 2023.
Yeah.
That was his best year.
In
by
the top,
far.
we've always talked about this. The lower half injuries are never. There's two terrible things that you're gonna have. It's lower half injuries or it's hand and wrist injuries for hitters. If you have any of those on your resume, that doesn't carry a lot of water. I don't know. The White Sox are just delete them. Delete them. Move to Utah.
Yeah, real quick, little tangent. I didn't get a chance to read that article that's floating around. What's the deal there?
I think it's mainly around the Coyotes thing because like the Coyotes going to Utah, and now it's the Utah Mammoth, and that's hockey, by the way. And then there's conversation about like Utah trying to get on board for this and prepping to be able to write a check for it. And I don't know
for baseball.
Yeah, if the Diamondbacks decide to move, if they decide to leave,
has there been any?
Well, Chase Field is kind of there's some back and forth about Chase Field.
Oh, because of the lease, right?
There's like a lease thing. They also want to make renovations, and I don't think Chase Field wants to do it. I don't know if the city of Phoenix wants to do it. I don't know. It's a very weird scenario.
I love having ball out there in the desert.
I'm like finally starting to get like on board with it. Like it's actually good baseball to watch. I'm like, no, don't leave. It'd be odd. So Utah, go get the White Sox. Leave the Diamondbacks alone.
Not a bad thought. Juan Soto. We're back to this topic again.
Oh my gosh. It's just like, I feel like this is rinse, repeat.
Look, man, I mean, I'm doing what people want. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can with the credit cannon to really, prop some people up.
Someone just drove off the road.
I'm sorry. I'm really trying to use that to prop some people up, get some other names in there, sort of get some fresh blood into the conversation. But
yeah,
doesn't help when you got these mosquitoes, namely Bob Nutting and the White Sox and the like, that are always, making headlines for this reason or that. It's not fun, but we got to talk about it. But yeah, Juan Soto, which, by the way, I think I'm just going to, I think I officially may, as I look at him on my television this very moment, I think this may be the podcast where
you're calling it.
I turn. I think I've reached.
Really?
I was a big fan of his in DC. Naturally, I was able to watch him a lot when he was out here. But then it was really just the progression of Padres to Yankees to Mets, where something about the Juan Soto narrative really seemed to accelerate. And I started keeping a closer eye on just like how he was handling himself. And I gotta say, not a big fan. I think I mentioned it last episode, the ego, I think. Hey, shout out, speaking of the Nationals, shout out James Wood fan.
Love that.
On YouTube. Drop it in with a little hello. James Wood fan. Now, you want to talk about an outfielder for the Nationals that I'm a big fan of.
Stud.
James Wood.
Stud.
So much a fan that I decided to capitalize on his value and traded him away before the season started in fantasy. But it's neither here nor there.
Now he's on my team.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I get postponed games in fantasy so often. I don't know if it's just me, but I lost him and CJ Abrams tonight to a postponement.
Love some James Wood. So shout out James Wood fan in the chat. But no, Juan Soto, there's just I really think, and who am I, a mere man, to sit here and judge another for maybe feeling a little bit more self-righteous when it comes to being at the center of attention for the last year with really obviously longer than that, but truly under the microscope for the last year with his free agency. And then the contract negotiations go down, and then the signing with the Mets and everything that came with that, and just and not to keep rehashing this, but like the whole the suite thing and the family shopping spree money and the comments here and there. I just feel like I'm out. I just feel like I'm kind of out on the Soto thing. Do I still think he's a generational talent? I said that last episode. Yes, I do. And I'm not
likable anymore.
I'm not coming off of that stance, but to me, he's just not, I don't know. I just, it's really hard for me to really buy into the Juan Soto likable movement.
Yeah.
But all
Going
that to
the
say,
Mets didn't help. Let's be real.
Yeah. Which, hey, shout out to the Mets. Just took a series from you. Granted, we just dropped the game tonight, but enjoy the flight home. Anyway, the reason we're talking about Juan Soto is because he caught some flack in this series against the Red Sox Monday night, I believe, for a lack of hustling. And boy, I tell you what, I don't think I understood or was aware of how many people have just normalized not running after hitting a baseball.
Right.
I was blown away at how many people were just like, so what? I'm like, don't try to pin this on me as it being like a boomer take. It's literally what you are supposed to do. You're supposed to hit the ball and run to the next base. He didn't do that because he was watching the ball that he hit that he thought was going over the green monster, but ended up going halfway up the monster.
Maybe.
Made it to first, and people are saying, well, he made it to second. He stole the next pitch. Big deal. Okay, and what if he didn't? Okay, what if the situation's different? What if he ends up being the go-ahead run in the ninth inning and ultimately doesn't score to help the Mets win a game? It didn't happen that way, but I'm just saying what if, and I'm almost certain this is not going to be the last time that this happens to Juan Soto. And for the people that are saying, well, this happens to so many other players. It happened to Pete Alonso in the same game. I understand that. But the difference there is that those players aren't the highest paid player in baseball, $765 million. And those players also aren't the ones after the game when interviewed about this very issue saying, well, if you looked at the hustle, you'd see that I was hustling tonight. Well, Juan, you weren't.
That's a weird comment.
What a weird response.
Yeah.
Not a deflection, not a, hey, what are you even talking about? It's I was hustling. I don't know what game you were watching, buddy, but I was moving out there. No, you weren't, Juan.
Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being I am buying a house in the middle of Queens and I'm never leaving for the rest of my life. 10 being I'm going to contact anyone and everyone to find a time machine to go back. How much does he regret signing this contract with the Mets right now, at this moment, current moment?
Juan Soto 1000% will not end this contract as a Met. 1,000%. This is not going to age well. This is not going to age well. This is going to be, if you remember when Bryce Harper signed the contract that he did with the no trade clause, the no opt-outs, people were going, there's no way this ages well. I think at this point in his tenure with the Phillies, you can pretty safely say that he's going to stay there for the remainder of the time that's left on that contract.
Yeah.
Juan Soto, you can very clearly tell, and I look, hand up, I acknowledge that a great deal of this, maybe not a great deal, but a good portion of what's going on with Juan Soto is certainly being pumped and fueled by the media. I'm not naive enough to think that that's not the case.
It's New York.
They're absolutely pumping this and milking this for every penny that it's worth. I understand that. But I think you just look at the pieces to the puzzle that exist right now, and you can pretty easily reach the conclusion that Juan Soto is not, when it's all said and done, is not going to truly enjoy or reap the benefits of what he thought this contract was going to offer him. Because he's going, yeah, the money is great, but boy, I tell you what, my career numbers would have looked a lot better at XYZ, wherever that would be, whether it's the Yankees or elsewhere. And I think at a certain point, you have so much money, Juan Soto, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I know what I would do with that money, or I know how I would behave if I had that money. But at a certain point, you got to think, with that much money, still this young in his career, or this early in his career, that he's probably going to be longing for more once the shininess of the coin, if you will, sort of wears off, and he's going, okay, $765 million, this is great. But you're looking around the league, wow, it looks like Aaron Judge is having a lot more fun back over in the Bronx, or so-and-so is having a lot more fun at wherever. I don't think, as I mentioned, combined with the media there in New York, they're not going to make this situation any easier. I think when it's all said and done, that he's going to, long way of answering your question, I think he's very strongly going to regret this. And I can almost guarantee you that he will not finish his contract as a Met.
You going to give me a number?
Which end is which end?
One is he couldn't be happier. 10 is I wish I could go back in time.
You're asking me how he feels like right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'd give you a 7.5, and I think it's only going to go up.
I think that's a fair number. I think something to also talk about right now is the fact that, like, they're in first place and they're one of the best teams in baseball. And this is what we're talking about. This is what the media is talking about. We can't just slap a winning cures all on this.
Good point.
And we might be able to by the end of the season. But what does this say to your team? Like, I get who you are. I get your talent. But, like, you just got here. You have a guy that's begging, that's pounding on the door all offseason, begging to get re-signed. I love it here. I don't want to wear any other uniform. Please take me back. You have another guy who is, for some would argue, in MVP conversations regularly, in Frankie Lindor, who plays every day, who hustles every day, who's been there for a little bit. You just got here, and this is what we're talking about? Then winning isn't curing this? I said it didn't look quite right when he showed up at Yankee Stadium. I said it seems like he was trying to play it off. It seems like it did bug him. And now it's kind of carried over to this point where, like, I think we forget he was a Met for the first couple months? Now we're seeing a downside of him not playing well. Now we're seeing them on a little bit of a skid. Drop 2 out of 3 to the Yanks, drop 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, and you're like, huh. He's not playing so great if you look at the numbers, and he's not hustling, and he just got here. Like, there's got to be this level of, like, I know I'm the highest paid guy in the room, but I want to earn my spot here. I want to earn not just my teammates' respect, my organization's respect, my fan base's respect. It's not just gifted. It's not just granted to you. And I think that what he saw in Yankee Stadium was like, I've spent my whole career beloved everywhere I went, and now that's not really the case. Now I've burned bridges, and I'm playing for a team that everyone hates, and they don't even like me that much right now. How do I contest that? Bust your butt, dude. Run hard. Put in effort. You hitting 265 doesn't look so bad when you're busting it down the line. When you're laying out in the field. We have jogging on double plays with a guy on third. We have jogging in the outfield. You already suck in the outfield. The least you could do is just run and try to hunt some balls down. I think what we watched him experience in Yankee Stadium this past week has unlocked something that we've never seen in Juan Soto before. And it's not a good thing. I think it's kind of a dark side. I think it's kind of a strange, uncharted territory for him. And I'm curious to see how it continues. Do I think the Mets are fine this year? Yeah. Do I think he'll end up hitting 30 home runs and over 290? Yeah. Do I think he's going to walk a ton and have a crazy good OPS? Yeah. Will the narrative of him being unhappy change anytime soon? I don't know. And he doesn't have a very good poker face.
All of what you just described, year one of 15.
Not even. We're 2 months in.
15.
And it's not going to change. Like, you better figure out how to flip the script and be the ultimate villain. That's my opinion on this. If you're going to be looked at and viewed as a villain, then be a villain and get good at it. Because you smiling and thinking everyone loves you, ship has sailed, dude. Turn into a villain. Be the bad guy. That's the only way to save it in my mind. And watch the Mets rally around that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't hate it.
I think that's the only way to do it.
Don't hate it. Will Benson leading off this week's edition of the Credit Cannon segment. Will Benson, my dude, hitting 478. 5 homers, 10 ribbies, and an OPS of 1773 over his last 8 games. I know it's a small sample size, but 1773. Like, we're approaching American independence territory there. That's insane. Will Benson has the high, as you would very easily imagine, has the highest OPS in the month of May in Major League Baseball. The question I have for our beloved Tito Francona is why he's been on the bench for the last 2 games. He may have gotten in as like a late inning guy yesterday, but today, neither of the last 2 games has he started in. And sure enough, in those 2 games, yesterday and today, the Reds lose 1-0 and 3-1. And from everything that I've gathered from Reds fans, he is their only true offense right now, like exceptional offense. And so when you're losing games that close where he could presumably make a difference, like unless I'm missing something, like unless there was like maybe a small tweak, but I haven't heard anything about that otherwise. So I'm just assuming that it's an alignment thing. It's a matchup thing. I don't know, but dude's been tearing it up. So that's obviously, that doesn't reflect on him. That's maybe just a decision from up top, but
It's kind of more on Tito.
yeah, otherwise, dude's been tearing it up these last couple of weeks. So good on Will Benson.
The ball he hit in Cincinnati the other day was like,
Yeah,
there are some times where you see someone hit and it's a little jaw dropping. That was wow. That was wow. Where he walked, he strolled after he hit that ball. It was nuts. Anyway,
he can get into it. Next up, Riley Green. Hitting 444, 3 homers, 9 ribbies, and an OPS of 1426 over the last week. According to Detroit Tigers PR on Twitter, since April 7th, and this is coming into Wednesday, since April 17th, Riley Green is hitting 333 with 9 home runs, 29 RBIs, and a 1006 OPS. Over that span, he is tied for the American League lead in homers, while ranking 2nd in RBI, 3rd in OPS, and tied for 5th in average. On the season, his 1.5 F4 ranks 6th among AL outfielders. That's good company. American League outfielders, that's good company. According to Database Hit on Twitter, Riley Green in the month of May, he's slashing 333, 397, 682, 6 homers, which is tied for the 4th most. 18 RBIs, tied for the 3rd most, and then WRC plus of 206, which is 6th. His 6 home runs this month has tied his career high dating back to April, or matching his total from April of last season.
best record in baseball, and this guy wasn't even right yet. Now that he's getting right, look out, bro. Look out. Tigers are coming, man.
What do you mean? They're already here.
Nah, I mean they're like,
they're
like, I think this is gonna be the start of something for a while.
33-17 coming into today.
I think this is gonna be a thing for a minute.
Maybe after today. Did they already play today? Anyway, yeah, that not to sound like a broken record, but that American League Central is gross. Like, so good that it makes up for the trash that is the Chicago White Sox. Like, the Guardians are in 4th at 26-22.
Right.
They would be 2nd in the American League East, 2nd in the West, 3rd in the NL East. Like, pretty much anywhere else in baseball, you're going to be in a contending spot in your respective division, and they're 4th. And they're only what, half a game back from the Royals, it looks like, who were in 3rd, that was my division winning team this year. So I'm gonna need the Royals to figure out how to hit a baseball.
That's also like a whole nother thing too. Is that it's like the fact that they're still in the hunt and they're not hitting.
Yeah.
Is crazy.
Yeah.
That's a damn good team too.
Shout out to the Royals. Shout out Bobby Witt.
Always shout out Bobby Witt.
And shout out to his teammate.
Look out.
Chris Bubich.
Crazy last name.
Chris Bubich. 2-0 with an ERA of .44 with 21 strikeouts in his last 3 starts since May 8th. According to Underdog MLB, Chris Bubich this season 61 in the third, 61 strikeouts, an ERA of 1.47, a whip of 106, the second lowest ERA through 10 starts in a season in Royals history.
Dang, dude. That's a nugget.
That's a breakout season.
It sure is. That's a nugget right there. Hail Central, bro. Good ball out there. Good ball out there in the Midwest.
Some mighty fine baseball being played out there in the Midwest.
Just some blue collar baseball, you know?
Just some hard-nosed, hit the grindstone, old-fashioned, hardball kind of baseball.
That's right.
Being played out there in those flyover states.
Working with your hands, getting dirty, you know?
Just showing up to work with the lunch pail.
That's right.
Going home after a hard day's work, cracking a cold one, flipping on the tube.
Probably repair something when they got
Probably
home.
fix something.
Yeah.
That's what they're...
Hold a baby in one arm, fix the sink in the other.
I mean, that's
what they do in the middle of the country.
That's central baseball right now. That's what we're talking about. Bringing it back out east, though. Jesus Luzardo, 2-0 with an ERA of 1.38 and 16 strikeouts over his last 2 starts. OptaStats says that since ERA became official in both leagues in 1913, 2 MLB lefties have gone undefeated with a sub-2 and 10-plus K per 9 over their first 10 starts of a season. One is the Phillies' Jesus Luzardo this year. The other, any guesses? I know you weren't listening to me, so just throw out a really...
Jason Dominguez just hit a walk-off to the second deck.
That's great. Throw out just really good lefties.
Really good lefties from what era?
Since 1913.
Oh, boy. Give me Randy Johnson.
The other was Randy Johnson. Here's a little...
Let's go.
Here's a little, like, satellite credit cannon for Randy Johnson. Little secondary credit cannon for old Randy. Other was Randy Johnson, 1995. So Jesus Luzardo is in good company with the start that he's had this year. And by the way, leads pitchers in both the American League and the National League in WAR to date. And by the way, second on that list, Jesus Luzardo 2.9. Second on that list at 2.8, Chris Bubich. Ahead of Hunter Brown in third place, Max Fried in fourth, Zach Wheeler in fifth. Just a good start for the lefty on the year. As I mentioned, a 2.9 WAR, 5-0 to start the year, 1.95 ERA, and a whip of 1.15.
I think it's weird, man. I think the Phillies are going to have to get creative with filling in some of their gaps because of their rotational depth. It makes me wonder if they move somebody from that rotation to fill in other spots. And I don't know what that looks like, but they're just so deep rotation wise that you're like, and your bullpen just lost a huge piece. You need some more athleticism in the lineup. They got to tweak something a little bit. I'm just really, really interested to see what they do come deadline time. Good for Luzardo too. Love to see guys that shine for some garbage organization that go and like prove that was real somewhere else where it matters.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that could really benefit from a change like that. Anyway,
hit the next cannon.
Actually, no. You know what?
That
wraps up the credit cannon. But transition here to closing the book. Let's just keep it rolling. Jared Jones. No, I can't do
mean.
that. That's mean. Well, I mean, look, and nobody was a bigger Jared Jones fan coming into the season than I. But already underwent. I think it was today, right? Underwent surgery today.
Yeah. It wasn't TJ.
Was it not?
No.
Was it one of those? Are you sure?
Yeah.
It was a UCL sprain.
Yeah. It was like the what do they call it?
It's like an alternative
like the brace thing, like the brace surgery.
internal brace.
Yeah. Not TJ. I don't know what that means. It's still surgery, still out for the year.
How positive are we on that? Yep, you're right. Internal brace surgery was successful. Is already eyeing a return. We'll be back in 2026. You hate to see it, man. I was really hoping to catch some Jared Jones starts this year. I thought the tandem of him and Skenes was going to be just downright electric. Especially with both of them building off of great years last year, but alas, was on track, by the way, to make it back this year. He had been shut down, but it was when they started extending him distance wise, that's when he started feeling a little discomfort, which never good.
Shout out Bridge to Bucktober. He's always kind of giving us the Pirates updates. I heard that there was like his dad was kind of involved with this decision a lot. And there was a lot of like back and forth on surgery or not surgery, rehab or not rehab, the brace surgery or TJ. Like, it's been a lot. And like, honestly, it's just a lot of wasted time.
Well, you know why you got to even as a professional athlete, you got to bring dad in because
you got to bring dad in.
Surely that front office isn't going to lead you in the right direction. So yeah. Dad, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because my front office sucks.
Yeah.
Last item here, Kyle Schwarber, 300th homer on Monday night in Coors. An absolute tank. 406. Spare me the Coors Field effect. I don't care. It was a moonshot. That's what Kyle Schwarber does. 466 feet.
How old is he?
Off the facade of the third deck. 32.
Come on. Really?
32, yeah. 32 and turned 32 in March.
What's that contract like? Is he supposed to be a free agent next year?
I think so, because I'm seeing a lot of Phillies fans clamoring to keep him around, which rightfully so, they should.
Yeah,
how big of idiots you got to...
He gets paid. At 32, he's going to get paid.
Yeah, and especially knowing his profile at this point in his career. Like, you know exactly what you're getting. So if having 40 bombs in your lineup appeals to you, then sign up to join the Kyle Schwarber sweepstakes. How much idiots do you think the Cubs feel? That didn't make any sense. How big of idiots do you feel like the Cubs feel like right now?
Words.
Words are tough. It's been a long day.
It has.
Which I'm not gonna lie,
not great. I'm gonna say not great.
When he was in Chicago, I could have sworn he was like 35.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, that's why I was like, when you said 32, I was like, nah, come on.
And here we are, like a decade later, and he's 32. So that math's not mathing. But anyway, yeah. To answer your question, I think he gets paid. Whether or not Big Davy D is going to pony up, that's yet to be determined. But I
think you can do it for cheap. I think if you tack on 2 years to let him finish as a Philly,
they love him there, dude. Why just there are certain guys where it's so like it's so clear cut. Like, this is what you need to do. Just make it happen.
Give him 6 years. Give him 6 years.
That sounds good to me. I wouldn't hate that.
Give him 6 years. Anywhere from 1 to 120. I think that gets it done, because I don't think anyone else in the market has given him more than 4 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
6 years, we'll ride it out for the last couple years where
Sure.
it's probably not going to be great, but like you're going to get close to 500 home runs at that point, and we're going to celebrate you, and you're going to retire Philly, and you ride off into the sunset. That's what's wrong with that.
And again, talking about this window that the Phillies are seemingly up against, a closing window at that, dare I say.
Yeah.
You need this. You need all the support you can get, and if again the power that he provides to that lineup is going to help you, which it most certainly will. It has to this point.
Sure.
Why not keep it around? Keep him around. So, Davey D, get it done. Make this man a Philly for the remainder of his career and celebrate 500 down the road. That's all I got.
It's good.
Sorry, I was in a rather talkative mood today. Sorry for just rambling as much as I did, but
Rambling man.
But here we are.
Allman Brothers, by the way. It's the group that sings that song.
It's a great ditty.
For those who are uncultured and don't know. I'm out of here too. I got to go study. You got to go to bed. Simple enough. You've been working for like 17 hours.
It's been a long day.
Yeah. But that's what we do. We're here. We deliver. We're here and we deliver.
We deliver. We're like FedEx. Yep.
Yeah. I feel like UPS is probably. I feel like they've probably.
Or DHL even. I don't know.
Is DHL still doing it?
Bro, DHL is still doing it.
For who?
I don't know.
Who's using that?
Not me if I ever have a choice. I'm all about what Brown can do for you.
What? They still got those little vans? They don't even drive the trucks, man.
Oh,
DHL is like,
man.
nah, we're going to keep it efficient. We're going to keep it with the vans. I feel like they're delivering like frozen foods. You know what I mean? Like it's like weird one-off scenarios where you're like, I'm going to order a cheesecake from Chicago.
What?
I'm going to use DHL.
And you know what they do? They deliver.
And it probably shows up perfect. That's us. We're the DHL of the podcast game.
Well, we can talk about it.
It's up for grabs.
We can talk about it.
Yeah. Expect us Monday.
Correct.
Not Sunday. Papa's going to be up in Denver visiting some fam, catching the Yankees Rockies on Saturday. If you're in Coors Field, let's hang out.
If you're in the field, get help because it sounds like that's a dangerous situation.
If you're in it,
if you're at Coors Field,
it's a big fear to get buried alive. But if you're there, if you're in the stadium, if you're in the situation, you want to come say hi. Come say hi. We'll see you Monday. I don't know. I'm out. I'm done. I got to go study. This is crazy. I'm a grown man.
Yeah, you're the one still talking, man. You got to study.
I'm getting delirious. Curveballs. If you see them, typically you don't want to chase them.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.